Thank you everyone for waiting. I think we're ready to start. Let me just double check something. Yes, so welcome everyone to the new episode of InsideX. Today we're talking about design, something that people underestimate until it's too late. So today we talk about design not as a decoration. We talk about design as a trust, as clarity, and perhaps as a thing which makes people decide whether they should stay or bounce. I've brought today some top designers who have shaped best products that we have right now in the market and tech and Web3. Everyone probably has a different perspective, so I'm very excited to talk with them about this one. So please, let's welcome our guests, and we move on from there. Hey, Jacob, and hey, Joseph. How are you guys doing?
Hey,
hello.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
be
the
here.
invitation.
Hey, great,
Yes.
guys. So, before we start, I think introductions are definitely due. People who are listening, they will probably want to know who the hell are you and why the hell should they listen to you. So maybe, Joseph, if we can start with you and with some sort of basic introduction, who you are and what projects have you been working on. So it's your time to shine.
All right. I will start with a little story. I've been lucky enough to get to know my life's mission really early on in my life. So I happened to get to study design and been designing for 14 years now. And during this way, I've launched more than 30 projects regarding crypto, fintech, marketplaces, really anything, and happened to won a couple of design awards on my way. So what motivates me the most is basically helping others, and the tool for that for me is basically the design. So yeah, I'm fulfilling my life mission. I'm helping others by design. That's me.
Thanks,
Beautiful. Actually, similarly to Joseph, I think this is my only job that I really had. I started designing when I was a teenager and gradually became a freelancer, startup founder, and then just fully committed to design, working for different companies, mostly right now Ethereum Foundation. So yeah, I think also around 15 years of experience in various settings, from small companies to larger ones. So I'm very excited to have this conversation.
Thank you guys for your introductions. I have the impression that we definitely have the people that we need here to speak about this. And when we talk about impressions, I think when it comes to design, it's one of the most important things, right? So before anyone reads a white paper or connects the wallet, in my subjective opinion, design is what decides if product feels credible, correct? So what visual cues I would say, or you would say, instantly make you stay or close the app? Do you see a connection there? Jacob, let's start with you maybe.
Yeah, I think even perhaps before like visual cues, I think what really makes products stand out is word of mouth, especially in crypto. A lot of discovery happens through Twitter or other social media. But then when you go to the website, I think it really also depends on the tone of voice and how the product describes itself and how the value proposition, let's say, is described. And then in terms of visual cues, I think it kind of depends on like specific segment of the industry, because each different subcategory of products probably have kind of different design approaches that cater to that specific let's say audience or target personas. So maybe we can discuss in detail specifically those, but I think mostly word of mouth and tone of voice is what stands out to me.
Joseph, do you share the same opinion, or?
Well, I believe right now is the great moment to define the design, because it's not only the visual part. When the user finds the product, he see only the hero page, right, for the first time, for a second. But behind that, the design starts when the founder actually creates the idea, and from that moment the design start, the whole team has to work on product discovery. They have to kill bad ideas, create only the best one, test it with the users, then create it, launch it, and then people can see it. And for me, the most important thing that anyone can do in this world of millions of copies is to create it different, original. Because if you just copy this project, everyone does that. In the AI era, everyone is creating the same solution again and again. The only chance is to be different for me. And the way to be different is basically great story. Because at the end of the day, we are humans, right? And we love stories. If the project has great story that resonates with the target group, with me in my heart, it just works.
But if we come back a little bit to the credibility issue, how do you think still, is this something that design can tackle? Like, how can founders design the credibility when they don't have years of brand equity behind them, right? So I think that's what Joseph, you're saying. I mean, you have to build things up before design process even begins, right? But to me, some products or some crypto apps, let's just stay within Web3, they feel too playful to trust, if you know what I mean by that. While others, they feel too corporate and they lose all of their personality. So where's this fine line for you as a designer? So when you start talking with products, how do you decide which way to go? And do you think about the first impressions of the users? Do you think about the credibility, especially the credibility? Let's say for me as a user, if I'm connecting to you guys, to your products that you might create, do you think that design is something that's going to make me feel more likely to connect my wallet to your products, so to say? So Jacob, let's start with you maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And here I would say that design is a very broad spectrum of different activities that you can do. It includes from like visual cues to the content, sorry, the way you communicate different things, accessibility. It all can be considered design. So I think in terms of trust, this is actually still pretty big issue in Web3, especially. We see a lot of user responses in our work at Ethereum.org saying like, I don't know if I can trust this project. How can I verify the authors of this app? Is this trustworthy enough for me to, as you said, connect the wallet? And a lot of it comes down from my perspective, and again, maybe I'm biased because I'm more of a UX designer here, but often it comes with the idea of like, is this familiar? Can I trust this in a sense that is this predictable? And how we try to solve for these things often is on Ethereum.org that we at least learned is through breaking the barrier. Usually it starts with the jargon that crypto is unfortunately very much plagued with. And also even just inclusivity in terms of language, translations, etc. We could go deep into each of these categories, but overall, I think even if you start very early and you have new products, there is a lot you can do with how you try to describe this to break this barrier and perhaps anchor the descriptions in something that is familiar, ideally real world. And then as you establish this baseline, introduce new things in a way that is easy to kind of comprehend for the people.
Understood. Joseph, for you, when you talk about maybe high quality, what does it mean to you? High quality design, visually, emotionally, maybe interactively even. What are the keywords for you here?
Yeah, so it all depends on the design process, right? So I consider high quality design as the design that went through the whole process and didn't skip the phases that needs to be done in order to create something that actually works and it's backed by data and researches and testings and everything. So this is the one thing that anyone should skip, and it can be seen in this AI era. AI can shorten all of these processes. It can do all of the things for you. It can hide the steps of the process, but there is a risk, right? So you can use the AI to make these steps faster, and you will have quality design, right? But not skip them. This is the risk.
Okay, I think AI is a big topic in itself, and this is why I've prepared some questions for you guys, definitely on the topic, at least 5 of them. So we'll see how much time we will have to go through it, but it's definitely a topic I really want to touch on, because I think it's very relevant for all topics of software development, or just product delivery, whatever it might be, even from the business side, not just the technical. So and speaking of technical, we have crypto, right? So a lot of the stuff which is happening within protocols, products in general, is invisible, right? So what's the role of motion or design motion in helping users understand what's actually happening? Because I think there is this misbalance of when we do in Web2 world, right? When we do something that usually something is instant, let's say just transfers, etc. In Web3, that's not the case. Sometimes just a simple click of a button emits a very complex let's say solutions on the back end. Is this something that you think in Web3 is right now changing, that we will see this prevalence of introducing the motion so that users is more understanding towards what's actually happening? Or is this you think more detrimental to what you're trying to achieve with design? Jakub, what about you? Because I think you're more into this stuff, right? So
actually, I haven't explored motion enough, but I think it's definitely a powerful technique that could be used, when used properly, can enhance the experience greatly. From the Ethereum.org perspectives, again, I know that crypto is full of abstract technical ideas, and it's really hard for people to relate to these and understand them. And this is going back again to like this sense of trust. Like if you can't really understand what's happening, then it's harder to trust it. This is where I think motion design can help. We already know that just visualizations in general are a great way to describe different concepts such as blocks, swapping, etc. And I think motion design is kind of on that spectrum even further, because as Josef has very well described at the beginning, creating a story, a sequence of things that like explain something is very powerful for our brain. That's how we learn and interact with the world, through stories, essentially. So I see motion design very useful in that regard, but of course there is a balance and it cannot be like overused. I think, for example, when there is a complex transaction and we need to slow down the user, that's a perfect context where some animation can be introduced to explain what's happening, but also let the user kind of observe that while something is being processed.
Josef, what's your relationship with motion in general?
It's a way of communication, right? So there's a saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it's the same with the animation. One animation is worth of 1,000 pictures.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, even when you think about serious concepts or serious products in serious contexts, and you have these small design moments, and they make the app feel more alive and responsive. To me as a user, I'm not speaking as a professional, let's say right now, I just put on my mask as a user. Back in the day when I was not revolving around the software development, product development in its essence, it was very important for me. I'm sorry guys to interrupt, but I think we finally have our third guest. Adam, thank you for joining. We're actually speaking about motion right now, so I think this is this is definitely something which is what I know from my own experience with you. That's very important for you. Maybe before we delve into that, allow me by putting you or throwing you under the bus, and maybe if you can just introduce yourself to our audience right now,
Yeah.
and maybe then afterwards, so I don't interrupt you later. Just tell me about your relationship with motion and design, and what's the role of motion that is helping users understand the products.
Yeah, so I'll go one by one. First of all, apologies for being like I got late. I got held up at work. And to introduce myself, I'm Adam Kozel. I'm a motion and product designer at Exodus currently. And in the past, I worked with Clivio X. I was their designer, and several agencies did some freelance work. But yes, currently I'm a full-time motion designer at Exodus when we are developing their products.
Great. So let's talk maybe about just the motion itself. So, like again, coming back to the question, how important of a role is motion for you in helping users understand what's actually happening, and how do you balance maybe the motion that explains versus the motion that entertains? Because I think this is sometimes when you put too much value on one side, you kind of lose the entire gist, I guess, of it, right?
Yeah. The entire like appeal of the product gets ruined, right? Because like users stop trusting it. I would say like there's space for entertainment and there's space for explanation, and if you overdo one of them, it's a problem. So like generally when you are using the UI, most of the users don't understand Web3, especially like starting users, so we need to translate every pattern, simplify it, and transfer what is happening, because there's a lot of technical stuff on the background, and you have to explain it to users somehow, and you need to use motion for that so they actually like can understand it, because our eyes are not used for static stuff. We are used to seeing things in motion, and that's where explorative motion comes in. And entertainment should be rewarding. Like you completed some action, you created a swap, you successfully completed KYC. This is what we use entertainment for, to engage with the users and to give them a little pat on the back for achieving something in the app. But again, it's a slippery slope when you look at certain apps like Robinhood. They've had problems with entertaining motion when they took it too far and they were under scrutiny and they needed to take it back. So that's where it starts feeling more like a casino than an app that's helping you with your finance.
And in your own world, or do you feel restrained? So perhaps what's the one motion detail in Exodus right now that you think users don't notice, but you personally love as a professional in motion design?
Oh man, you got me on that question. Honestly, I think it's generally like screen transitions. We are doing so much to create a comprehensible motion design system in our app that every screen that you go on, every interaction, it's all animated. You cannot go to a screen and it just like blindly swipes in, like classic iOS interaction. We are trying to avoid that. And we are doing that, but by creating custom motion for every screen. And there's a lot of work in that. And it feels less native, but at the same time, we are producing a bit of that entertainment value whilst not overdoing it and giving users a unique experience. And I think that as a whole is often overlooked.
I think this kind of touches on the whole topic of engagement, right? Which is huge, generally for design, not only for motion. And maybe in combination with that, if you guys want to talk about gamification a little bit, because I think they're a little family when it comes to engagement and gamification, right? Nowadays, you see a lot of the fintech products and Web3, they borrow heavily from gaming, whether it be points, streaks, badges. Why do you think, and this is a question to all of you perhaps, why do you think that these patterns work so well in complex products? Is this something that was borrowed from the Web2 world, or is this something more native to Web3? And where do you think this is going? Jacob, maybe if we start with you, if you have an opinion on that.
I sure do. Yeah, so gamification has been around for a long time. I remember using these methods 12 years ago when I was working on my startup. Generally speaking, I am not such a big fan of gamification, to be honest with you. It's because I think that's a technique to fake your product market fit a little bit, in a sense that you're focusing on engaging users for the benefit of engaging high level. Of course, that's a bad application. There could be much better applications of gamification. Those that actually provide some meaningful value, not only to the business, but mainly to the customer. We have been exploring these ideas as well in Ethereum Foundation. On ethereum.org, we have some, for example, quizzes where people can educate themselves and see how knowledgeable they are about different topics. And that gives them then a kind of confidence. Okay, I actually know what I'm talking about. And I think that's a value that these techniques could provide when done properly. This is just one example, for example. But at high level, this is what I think about gamification.
Joseph, what's your relationship with gamification?
Very warm. I've designed multiple gamification systems into so many apps. And it's worth saying that what is the reason behind gamification, right? It's not for itself only. Basically, in this world, there is a huge number for you can buy a customer. He goes to your product, he look left and right, and when he decides to leave, he will never return. The gamification is the only thing that can bring back the customer who already left your product. And it's basically all about it is written in the book The Hooked Model. And basically it's all built around creating habits. And it's of course about the ethical usage of this, because all of these habit creation methods are basically built in manipulation methods, and all of them are backed from basically Cialdini, who was the first one who wrote multiple books around that. And it's built in the brain, it's built in human behavior, and basically this is the mechanic behind that. So for the user, it's that somehow he is internally motivated to get back to the product, not externally. External motivation is some like marketing campaign or something like that. But internal motivation is, oh, I have their streak. Oh, I have their friend. Oh, some picture was generated or something like that. Oh, there is a profit. And this is my motivation to come back. So yeah, this is how to make customers come back.
And if we speak outside of Web3 perhaps right now, from a design perspective, do you think that gamification can work in serious finance without feeling cheap or gimmicky? I've seen a smaller in like banking apps, etc. You started to get like these. You collect points. You collect. Is this somewhere that we're heading as a general in the world in Web2 projects as well? Do you think that gamification can work in those serious instances, or is this maybe just a trend that you think will die out with time? This is more. This is the next question to you, Joseph. I see you're muted.
Yeah, I was thinking. You've said serious finance, so it's worth saying that it's all built in the brand. How the brand is built, right? So it's basically when you have really serious finance brand, maybe it's not the best idea to use some really playful methods like that. But I can imagine that it can be banned. It can be built around something that is not playful but really serious, and I can imagine methods like that used in the serious finance.
I guess it comes maybe a little bit back to what Adam said about Robinhood's using a lot of motion. Is this something that you would consider as a too much gamification, or what's your relationship with it in general?
Oh, there's a question to me or to Joseph?
That's to you, Adam.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would say it's two different things. One is like entertainment value, and they are trying to gamify things that shouldn't be really gamified. Uh, which I agree with Jakub what he said about it, and I think like gamification should be used to motivate users to do actions like KYC, funding their wallet, and learning about crypto. And it can be a very powerful tool in that because it can step by step explain to Web2 users how to onboard on, for example, crypto wallet. And this is regardless of the brand you have. If you have serious, non-serious brand, you can use those tools to onboard users and help them stay because you can create achievements, provide value for them in the app that you exchange, for example, like app icons, app themes, for successfully transitioning 1,000 times and actions like that. I
Would
hope
you
I
say
answered the
you
question.
guys? Would you say you guys use it internally in Exodus?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I believe that if you are not using those tools nowadays with the new generation, because crypto is reliant on young people, you are going to lack users because you need to attract them, which is providing a value over TikToks and different platforms. So yeah, we are definitely using it.
Understood. I guess that's the next big topic that we have right now is what already Joseph talked about before, AI. I will be very frank and say that AI has changed my life, even from the design perspective. Me as being complete amateur nowadays, I can build a product which feels credible. I've used it, be it lovable or just basic image generation. But what really interests me, how has AI actually changed the workflow for you guys as professionals in the past year? Let's just keep it like that. Let's not talk about the very early models, but really, let's keep it practical, not theoretical, right? So maybe who here thinks has the thinks is the biggest AI fan and in his workflow? Just start whenever you guys feel like it. Judging by the laughs, it seems like Joseph has a lot to say about this topic now.
Yeah, of course. I've been with AI since the first models that were publicly usable, and yeah, it's totally changed my workflow. Not from the point of the design process, but from the point of that I have basically someone I can discuss these ideas with, and it's about how to prompt the AI. So basically, you've said that you want it factual, right? So what I do usually is that I've pick a role for the AI of author of some method I want to use at the particular point of the design process, and I discuss my ideas with the author of the method if my application of this method is all right. So it can provide a feedback from this point of view if it takes all of the checkpoints and stuff like that. For the researchers, it's the other topic. It basically go out, it can scan the competitors, it can gives you exact points and how to use them for your case. So for me, in different stages, right now I'm talking about the product discovery stage, it's really great sparring partner. But it's important to say that for a professional who knows the process and all of these things, he can use it as a valuable tool. But don't please think that I don't know, the cleaner or carpenter, or I don't know, the man from factory or something like that could use it like that. You have to know how to ask, you have to be able to judge the results, you have to cut through noise, and usually it gives me a lot of unusable things, and I have to just pick ideas and build around it the actual design. So it does the work behalf of me, but I can use it as a mirror.
So for you, it's mainly as a creative partner, so to say, rather than the production accelerator, if that's the
It's both. It's both. Yeah, but it's not like I give it, hey, build this app. It doesn't work in the professional world. It works for people who want some prototype fast to show the investor the how it could work or something like that. But actually, we are not there yet for the professional usage. Basically, what you only do is that you totally bring speed in the first part, that you basically bring up the idea fast, but then you have to invest so much time to actually repair it in order to be as you want it. And it's not scalable in a large scale. So when you have large crypto projects, you have like 5 big features and stuff like that. It can't hold so many information. It's good to solve like small areas of problems, but it can't grasp the full product scale.
So if I am a founder who's bootstrapping his product, I don't have like a lot of money, and I'm coming to you, Joseph, and I'm telling you that, right? So I need to build prototype fast. Just please do it as fast as possible. You, as a professional, would you even consider doing basically trying and bootstrap the project by using all these AI tools and then maybe try and repair it? Or is this something that I feel that you try and avoid from the very beginning? And do you still think that the foundation, I think this is very important for the founders or potential aspiring founders that are listening in right now, because the design is something that has been omitted a long time for a very long time in Web3. And right now I feel like it's emerging into what it should be. So again, coming back to you to what you're saying right now, what approach would you actually consider with me as a new time founder who is bootstrapping the project? I just have $10,000 to try and validate my product. What approach would you use there?
Well, it's simple. There is a line, and the line is the founding for the like sharp product market ready version. So at first, of course, you should test the idea, validate it, try to throw it on people, collect the feedback, run with the investors and everything. So this is actually doable with the prototypes, with the lovable and stuff thing. But actually, when you go out and when you want to have like the actual users and actual business around that, this is the time after you attract the funding. This is the time to actually build it properly with a team, so it can scale, because this is the scalability phase. So yeah, the line is attracting funding and having the product market fit.
Jacob, how do you feel about AI in your personal workflow, or and maybe in general?
Especially the first part, what Joseph was saying, I was very much aligned with that. I use it as well as kind of a partner. It can give you design critiques. It can help you think through how to communicate certain things. It can help you with some research analysis, but always, I think the critical part is not to blindly believe the outputs. As Joseph has said, from my experience, like the important role of a designer is gather all the feedback and identify what is good feedback and what is bad feedback. More often than not, you get 75%, let's say, that is not really directionally correct feedback. And the value you provide is understanding which items to choose from the output and, lock in on those. So that's what kind of scares me, especially with people who do not have that kind of training and experience. On one hand, if you have nothing, obviously AI can provide some baseline level that just unlocks new capabilities that you don't have. So from that perspective, I am, very optimistic that it can enable you to do things that otherwise you would just be not able to do. But then it really requires this critical thinking and understanding, okay, this is probably a mediocre result, and maybe directionally not where I should go. So the testing, iterating is very important. So yeah, and in terms of how else I use it, I mean, no one likes note-taking during calls. I find it the best use case, but in design, it's usually using it as a partner and getting critique while I start with my own draft, and then I use AI, because using AI first also is sometimes problematic, because you kind of transfer your brain practice to the model, and that can lead to you being less and less able to actually think for your own later on. So be careful
Exactly.
about that.
That's a big topic in itself, right? With AI making everything so polished, how do you keep the originality and personality? So I think this is what you guys are referring to, right? When you talk about like AI being more of a creative partner, rather than just a production manufacturing entity, so to say. But Adam, when it comes to you, I mean, I've known you for years now. I remember back before GPT was a thing, you were already messing around quite a lot with AI. Did anything change for you? I mean, what has been your relationship? How did it evolve, or where is it now? Because I haven't heard from you in forever. So I would be not only me, but everyone else would be eager to hear.
It was an interesting journey, because when it was all starting and my journey was starting, I was like excited about it, and I started using it. I was like, this is miraculous, and trying to create brands with it and elaborate projects, and I was hitting limits constantly, so it was very frustrating for me. And by the time I came to the same place as Jacob and Joseph, that I've realized it's just a good helper. You cannot rely on it completely, even though like everyone's selling it like this magic solution. You go online and everywhere you see magic AI agents and like designs complete like created with AI and whole coding projects. And I think like those are some like lucky prompts, but in the reality, like most of the time, I don't get what I want from it. So I'm using it for smaller tasks. Like what is amazing is automatically renaming layers in Figma. Finally, all my layers in Figma are sorted, and I don't have to rename them. And at the same time, it's helping me understand specifications and create conceptual imagery for projects when we are starting and we need something quick. We use Midjourney or Google Veo or any tool that just fits the purpose.
Which parts of the design that you guys think should never be automated?
Okay. Sorry.
It's for all of you. I think I'm very eager to learn. Okay.
Yeah. Is the deciding, because you just can't let it decide. It's about the founder who translates his vision on the team and basically creates the value proposition between the business and these users. Basically, the product has to solve real problems, so the people basically pay the business so it can work. You just can't put the AI in the decision role, because we are not there yet.
Decision making is a big topic, which is actually what I want to talk about next. You have designs decisions from a product delivery perspective is such a huge part. You have founder's vision, you have designers' creativity, and last but not least, the development constraints, which is a very analogical to what architects build as a building and then what's actually doable in the real world. You guys are facing this on a daily basis. And I think, in my personal opinion, what separates a good designer from a very good designer is someone who understands those constraints quite well. So for you guys, maybe Adam, let's start with you. How do you align those worlds without killing creativity?
Yeah, I have a simple explanation. For me, like constraints are what drives creativity, honestly. Like if you have a blank paper and you don't have any constraints and you can do anything, you're gonna be stuck forever. So I personally love constraints, and when I don't have them, I communicate to actually get them, and that's what a good specification for me is. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you sure did. Jacob, what about you? Is this something that you have been battling yourself in your personal experience, or?
Not so much. I agree with Adam. Constraints are what helps focus. Of course, too strict constraints are problematic. So there is always this balance between being able to quote unquote think outside of the box, but still within some constraint area that is possible. So I think it's good to kind of remind yourself and have this is always about conversation, right? Designers should not be designing in a vacuum. You have the developers, you have the founders, you need to understand both the business as well as the technical possibilities and design within that. So I think the only thing that I would add is that, it's a collective activity that perhaps the designer is leading, but it's not in a vacuum.
Josef, I think this is a big one for you, right? Because just from what I know, I mean, you've launched at least 30 projects which have gained like global attention. For you, has your creativity ever been threatened by those, or is this more for someone who's more of a beginner? And maybe as a last thing, because you've launched so many products with people, who do you think should make the final call about that design direction? Should it be the founder, the designer, or the data?
This is a great question, and we have to start with the definition of the relationship between designer and the basically owner of the startup. So I will start with a story. If you have a car and the car suddenly doesn't move right, it's broken, and you go to the service shop and you say them, "Hey, my car doesn't work. The engine is broken. Fix the engine. Give me new engine. I need to ride again." So the service shop goes, replace the engine, and the man goes. The man pays a sum of money, right? But actually, the problem was not broken engine. It was only the spark, tiny little spark, right? And the owner paid the whole engine replacement. At case he only should spend a couple of dollars for a spark, right? And the reason was that the service shop didn't do the research. He just did what heard from the man who wanted to repair the car. So this is like when the products are built, right? When the businessman, the entrepreneur goes and tell the product development company, "Hey, do this," and they just listen, never ask, don't do any research at all. It's like that. It's a huge waste of money. So the real scenario, how it should go, is like at the doctor's office. The designer should work like a doctor, right? So he meets with the founder of a company and he basically listens to him. And once the founder ends with the explanation, the designer as well as the doctor asks so many questions. We always need to understand the whole case, how the company works, what the value proposition, everything about that. And then we do the homework and we create the researches and everything, map the competition and everything. So in simple words, we need to understand where the business is and where they want to go, what they want to achieve, right? And basically, we as a doctor, we suggest the bridge between these states, right? So as a doctors, once we do the diagnosis, we prescribe how to get there. We prescribe the process, how the product would look like, and really everything. But the decision is up to the founder. We only suggest. The founder listens and decides for himself. So this is the mechanics behind the cooperation.
Thank you for sharing that, Jacob. For you with Ethereum, how does it work? I mean, what's unique, I guess, about designing for, pardon me for saying that, maybe like open source communities compared to private companies? Is there a different approach that you're using perhaps here, or is it more or less the same?
I would say it's more or less the same. At the beginning, I thought, oh, open source, I will have so many open source designers helping me like identify the best designs for the website. But in the end, turns out that maybe designers are not so open source oriented sometimes, or at least we haven't found them on ethereum.org. But like one thing I learned, and this is probably the design of ethereum.org, the goal is not just to educate people about Ethereum, it's also to cultivate the community. And it's a living organism that is constantly changing and evolving. We have hundreds of change requests, PRs on GitHub every month. And with that, also what it means for a designer is letting go of control of every detail, of every way we communicate something or describe something, because things can change without you noticing very easily at that scope of a project. But that's not, and also we are moving slower because of that, because we are moving with everyone rather than just quick, small agile team. But on the plus side, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people coming to me and saying, I started by contributing to ethereum.org. So the goal is not only educate, but also bring more new developers, content writers, designers, translators to the ecosystem, who later find full-time jobs by starting and getting some experience on ethereum.org. So it's a compromise between moving fast and cultivating the community and culture around Ethereum. And I guess that's kind of...
No, I think it's amazing that we get 3 guests with 3 different approaches, or not really approaches, but more likely ecosystems that they're kind of working with. We've talked about startups and the relationship between startups and designers. We talk about more open communities. Forgive me for saying so, maybe, or labeling it like that. And Adam, with you and Exodus, what do you think the healthy designer/founder relationship should look like? Or maybe what it looks like right now. I think you're muted, by the way. For some reason, I don't hear you.
Sorry. I'm on right now. So yeah, it is as it is right now, as you said. I'm very happy at Exodus because it should be a respectful relationship, as we talked about constraints and the inspiration and etc. The founders said like where we want to go, right? We want to do this, then this. We pick it up from them, but there's mutual trust. They don't hover over us. They don't give us too many details or jump into the process too much. They just tell us what they need, and we show them how to get there. And that's a great relationship because there's mutual trust. I think it's how it should work, and it's partly on the designers, because you need to earn, build, and cherish that trust. And if you don't, you lost the client. And that's something Josef taught me when I was over at Clivio, and I'm still holding in my heart.
That's great. I guess when you guys have, collaborative experience here is quite a lot. I will not even count it up to disclose your age, maybe. But what is you've worked with so many, let's call it founders, decision makers, whatever it may be. What do you think is the biggest mistake that early founders or early stage founders or just founders in general, they make again and again when it comes to design specifically? Is there a common theme there? Maybe Josef, let's start with you, because I think you have an arsenal of those.
Totally. It's focusing on the wrong things, right? At the beginnings, the only thing they should focus on is the users, the target group, their actual problem, if they actually want to pay for solving their problem, and how to create a different solution for them. So this is the main part to think about, not pixels, not technical solutions.
Jacob, it seems you agree that you have the same
Yes,
logic.
absolutely. Yeah. Over engineering is a very common issue. Try to understand what is the simplest way to fix the thing rather than creating elegant, over engineered solutions that you aren't sure that actually fit the people.
I mean, it makes sense that by listening to you guys, it seems you guys invest quite a lot into the process of research and identity and all of that stuff before even beginning your let's say creative process or your manufacture, right? But where should teams in generally invest first? Is it the UX research or brand identity? Because I feel like these two are sometimes combined in a single step, but these are completely different topics, aren't there? Because they influence each other quite a lot. Adam, what is your take on this, or what do you prefer rather? Because I think this is a thing of a preference, isn't it? I think you're muted again.
Okay, I'm here. I'm trying to unmute myself every time. So I think like what comes first is not UX, it's not brand, it's market research. You need to research your market. You need to find out where you fit, and only after that you can start creating UX and branding. But they can be done simultaneously, first, second. But first is market research.
Do you guys share the same opinion? Just by nodding your heads, I assume that yes.
Slightly. When I was doing my startup, it's been almost 10 years, there was this famous quote that I still agree with, which is, you should not invest in branding until you earn your first million. And you should focus on just the user research, users, product market fit, studying competition, etc. Whatever else you do is distraction from just focusing on really honing down the product.
That's an interesting take. Do you share the same opinion, Joseph?
I have a saying from Shrek, right? The businesses are like onion, and on the very heart of the onion, you have to find the value proposition connection. You have to find the very core, and on that core, you can build the other layers, right? So the story layer is at the very core. It's basically translated how is the value transfer between the business and the users. So this is on the very core. And the branding is just how the story is shown to the people and told to the people. And the UX is the exact same thing, but from the functional point of view, how it works, how they actually get there, right? So it's just another layer from the same core.
Guys, very interesting points from all of you, but we are running short of time. So I do have a couple of questions which I want to round up with you, and I guess we would call it a day. When we come back, maybe circle back from your own experience and your projects and your protocols, whatever your guys are working on right now. There's been an ongoing theme within crypto of having this futuristic kind of look, but we've seen a shift away from that. My question right now, let's maybe talk about where we are right now and where do you guys think we will be in the future? Because I think a lot of the listeners which are thinking about shaping their products, etc., that's something that interests them quite a lot. Me, when I was like building something with Lovable, for example, Lovable is not really, I guess, in my personal opinion, that creative in terms of it learns from the patterns which are already existed, right? So a lot of the designs which I have been provided by the AI, for example, and I wanted a futuristic look. They had this, they were falling into this cliche of neon cyberpunk kind of look. how do you design something futuristic in 2025/2026 without falling into this cliche of this like neon cyberpunk look? Do you see a trend there, or how is it evolving? Maybe Adam, what do you think about this?
Oh, it's a tough one because you always get inspired by the same materials, which is like the sci-fi Pinterest boards. But if you really want to be original, you have to go into depths other people don't go. You need to go. For example, my inspiration, my personal one for sci-fi is going into the old movies, into the Stanley Kubrick. Getting from work of Ashford and studying work of actual movie designers, because they create something original for each one of them, and it is a real craft rather than following the trend from Pinterest or like trying to get the neons and everything from Cyberpunk, which is very head on, even though for Cyberpunk it worked, but trying to dig deeper, maybe read books about sci-fi, watch old movies, study how those UIs were generated, and you're gonna get a lot of material that other people don't have. Visually, I mean.
What about the rest? Jacob, do you share the same look into it?
Since I consider myself more of a UX designer, I don't really focus on the visual, like branding part that much. I do agree that inspiration and like other forms of art is very useful. I also have artwork books from like the sets of Star Wars to see, how drawings were done, etc. I think basic principles like Gestalt principles are very useful to create good UIs, and then some inspiration on top of it can come from everywhere, even nature. I think it's, as a designer, you can just observe your surroundings and see how things are, like what color combinations are being used, and draw inspiration that way.
I mean, when we speak about drawing inspiration and all of that stuff, I'm sure that we have a lot of designers listening in right now. Let's maybe end up with a hot round of one question that I have for each and every single one of you. From your personal route, what's the one design decision in your life that you guys regret, and what did it actually teach you? I will probably let you guys just jump in whenever, because I think this requires some thought a little bit. But maybe if something jumps out, then just speak plainly.
Yeah, who's gonna be the bravest one? I don't know.
Go for it.
I don't want to consider myself bravest, but I was thinking about it in the past, and honestly, it's not communicating enough. It's always the problem, like about delivering on deadlines, not delivering on deadlines, getting the constraints right and getting the output right. It's not communicating enough, and that was the cause of my problems every single time.
All right. Well, for me, it was in these early days of designing. It was the designer's ego. Not always is the pretties or shinies or the most visual appealing solution is the right for the business and the right for the customer, right? So as a designer, I had to learn how to mute my ego and really design what's best for the business and customers.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Similarly, I think over-engineering or overthinking solutions that can be much simpler, and like having ego, thinking this is the best flow, that has been something I regret, especially in the younger part of my career.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your lessons, for your expertise, for your time. I'm sure at least I took something from it. I hope the rest of our viewers as well. Again, I want to thank you very much for joining today. And I guess this sums up our InsideX podcast about design. For those listening in, please do join our next podcast, which will cover various different topics. And with that being said, again, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining, and I will let you go back to your work duties. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.